The following program is rated MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, you know this. You already do. We talk about it all the time. We reference it. We hang and bang, and we talk about all the fun stuff that is going on. Anyways, how are you doing on this fantastic Monday, April the 24th of 2023? Day 114th of the year, and only 251 days remaining. I hope everything is good and grand in your neck of the woods. Anyways, we are broadcasting live from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM, and then we are hanging out with our friends and colleagues at that other place that we do stuff at. Radio. Oh, yes, hanging out with our friends at Radio Big and doing the things that they do over there, because, you know, what else would we be doing if we weren't doing that? So anyways, I hope you had a fantastic weekend, because that always plays in a big factor to everything that is going on inside of the world of the multiverse. So listen, I have to tell you, the last few hours have been quite interesting. And I'll tell you, because I like to keep it pretty straight. Whole internet outage. Keep in mind that we've always talked about how we are full solar and, how our internet interacts here. And we were down. I was wondering if we were even going to be live this morning in regards of everything that was going on. So I was having some freak out moments, but luckily, it's 7:03. So that kind of does work out in regards of what was going on. But I was like, holy monkeys. And let me make sure that I say that, because I am in the Eastern Seaboard. In regards of what is going on, so don't worry about that particular aspect as we are talking. So let's get into it. Let's get into everything that was going on, and let's talk about what was trending over the weekend.
Here is what was trending. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so taking a look around at what was trending and what will be on tap for today. Let's see. Let's take a look. A teen gets banned from the amusement park and another retailer files for bankruptcy. We'll talk about that inside of the hit list. President Joe Biden is expected to announce his re-election bid at some point this week. Jamie Foxx remains in the hospital, and Morgan Wallen takes a tumble on stage, and Dick Van Dyke will make a guest appearance on a long-running soap, and Daily Wire plus lands a new investigative series. We'll talk all about that kind of stuff, so don't worry about that. So listen, I don't know if you're familiar with what we do around here, so let's talk a little bit about what is going on. We talk about safety in the news and safety. That's kind of the way that our gig works, everything that is going on inside of this multiverse of ours, so don't worry about that. As we are talking, you have the potential of interacting with the show. All you have to do is go to callinradio.com. That's callinradio.com. That will get everything moving and grooving for you in regards of what the hell we have going on. So don't worry about that. Call in radio. If you want to take a look at what we're doing visually, all you have to do is go to safetyfm.com or radiobig.fm and click on the section that says visual radio. Yeah. Visual radio, and that'll get everything going for you in that particular regards. Why would you want to put yourself through that kind of torture? I'm not sure, but there is a possibility of doing all that. So there you go. Some stuff that is happening inside of that world, though. What else? So there you go. We talk about the stuff that's going on. We come back. We give you some level of a main story and do all the interesting stuff. We also poke fun at some people, poke fun at some organizations and all that kind of stuff, because why would you not want to do that? There is always that great option of doing it. I mean, it'd be silly not to. It'd be silly not to poke the bear. I mean, let's just be realistic in that particular regards. So this week, I guess I should start talking about this. Should I say this week, or should I say first last week? Last week we broke the news that this was going down. So this happened. Brandon Wiseman has joined us in regards of Truck Safe Live, bringing his show onto our little network here. So let me tell you, with that being said, it looks like we will already have our first episode of Truck Safe Live later this week. We're probably looking at a Thursday. So you'll see that across our network of stuff going on. So don't worry about that. We'll have that up and coming. We'll talk a little bit more about it as the week progresses and go from there. But Truck Safe Live already, making its impact. So if you have DOT questions, and are wanting to know stuff about the Department of Transportation and wanting to know stuff related to just the trucking industry in general, voila. Brandon Wiseman will be there to tell you what's going on. I almost said Sam Goodman there. Apparently, I'm going to have to get him and Sam Goodman together at some point because, that always seems to be a good thing to do. So with that being said, let's get you into the news because I think that's going to be important. And then we'll get moving and grooving all right here.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
NBC News Radio. I'm Michael Kastner. The majority of Americans apparently don't want either President Biden nor former President Trump to run for the White House in 2024. An NBC News poll finds 70% of those surveyed, including just over half of all Democrats, believe Biden shouldn't run for a second term. As for Trump, 60% of those polled, including a third of Republicans, think the former president should not run in 2024. President Biden is calling for an immediate ceasefire in Sudan after the evacuation of U.S. embassy personnel and their families from Khartoum. Politico correspondent Laura Seligman with more on the operation.
On Thursday, the military decided to pre-position troops in nearby nation of Djibouti, which is about 800 miles away, and the U.S. already has a military base there, just in case this kind of evacuation was needed. Indeed, on Saturday, just over 100 special operations troops made this dangerous journey, which took almost a full day round trip in and out. It's about 800 miles to evacuate these personnel.
Biden said the tragic violence in Sudan has already cost the lives of hundreds of innocent civilians, and it must stop. At least one American is among the 400 people killed since rival groups began fighting for control of the African nation 2 weeks ago. The mayor of Kansas City, Missouri, says a culture of fear and paranoia helped lead to the shooting of a black 16-year-old who knocked on the wrong door.
And this was a man who, in his statement to the police, said, "I was scared of this, in essence, large black person outside of his door."
Speaking on CBS's Face the Nation, Democrat Quentin Lucas said politicians and the media are largely to blame for a culture where people immediately go for their guns. Lucas called the area where the shooting happened one of the safest neighborhoods in the city. Family members say Ralph Yarl is recovering after being shot in the head by an elderly white homeowner. Michael Kastner, NBC News Radio.
We are now video streaming the Rated R Safety Show. I don't know why our host has a face for radio. Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. Evacuations of diplomats and other nationals from Sudan by a number of countries are continuing. Australia will buy more longer-range missiles more quickly to counter the threat from China. Indian authorities have arrested Sikh separatist leader Amritpal Singh, who'd been on the run. And Japan's Prime Minister says he's not considering a snap general election, despite speculation following parliamentary by-elections.
Safety never sounded so terrible. Rated R Safety Show.
Jury selection is set to begin today in the trial for the man accused of killing 11 people at a Pittsburgh synagogue in 2018. More from Chris Coraggio.
Prosecutors say Robert Bowers was armed with an assault rifle when he carried out the attack at the Tree of Life in October of that year. Bowers faces dozens of charges, including hate crimes resulting in death. Court documents say that as he was being taken into custody, he told officers he wanted to kill Jews. There have been multiple delays in the case, mostly due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says he's willing to meet any American elected official who visits his country.
It's important for Israel's bipartisan support in the United States. I make a point of it.
Netanyahu's comments on CBS's Face the Nation come as Florida Governor Ron DeSantis plans to visit Israel next week. DeSantis is scheduled to be the keynote speaker at an event in Jerusalem organized by the Museum of Tolerance. The presumptive 2024 presidential candidate's visit comes at a time with strained relations between Netanyahu and President Biden over the Israeli Prime Minister's judicial reform proposals. The NAACP is suing Mississippi's governor and other state officials over separate but unequal policing. NAACP Environmental and Climate Justice Director Aubrey Connor explains the suit.
It represents that there are going to be repercussions. This really is more of the same. And so it just is one more example of how the governor has demonstrated that he does not care about the needs of the residents in Jackson.
Republican Governor Tate Reeves announced violent crime in Jackson has made it necessary to expand Capitol Police patrols in the city and authorize some appointed rather than elected judges. The new laws would create a temporary court system in Jackson with state-appointed judges who would handle cases brought to them by the Capitol Police. Michael Kastner, NBC News Radio.
Here is another bit for our competitors to copy. Rated R Safety Show.
You are listening to a radio god. What? This has to be an error. That host is not a radio god. Anyways, this is the Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Let's start using cutting-edge warp speed 5G technology with your cell phone. Let me tell you about my friends at mobile.io. They have an ultra-fast 4G LTE and 5G network that covers 99% of Americans. So they've got you covered everywhere. Think about it for a moment. You have the opportunity to take a test drive for 10 days with unlimited talk, text, and premium data. What is premium data? Premium data is an allotment of a cellular data that you receive from a higher priority on the network. You won't get throttled like you will with some of those, well, non-brand service providers. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to mobilemobile.io. That's mobilemobile.io to start your 10-day free trial.
Hello. Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad, just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
So, do you feel like you're missing out on what everyone is starting to do now, that live streaming thing, and you don't know where to start or what to do? I have the resource and the information to provide to you in regards on how you can stream onto 40 social media platforms all at one time. Yes, that's 40 social media platforms all at one time. All you'll need to do is go to safetyfm.com/1. That's safetyfm.com/1. That's ONE. So just in case, and you'll be able to start live streaming just like you're hearing people starting to do right now, up to 40 social media platforms.
Prepare yourself. We are now being distributed on iHeartRadio. Listen on iHeartRadio app. Radio Big.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, let's go. Sounds like a good idea to me. Anyways, it's currently 16 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out on this fantastic Monday. Or should I say marvelous Monday, or Monday that has something to do with something else that is going on. Anyways, we are still broadcasting live from the Safety FM studios, just in case you forgot. That's exactly what we have going on. So let's get into the shit list right away about the things that are going on inside of the world. A 13-year-old boy has been banned from Carowinds Amusement Park after climbing into the claw machine known as the Cosmic Extra Large bonus game and getting stuck. According to the park located in Charlotte, North Carolina, the teen had to be removed from the machine by their medical team. He had been banned from the park for a year for attempted theft. So now Carowinds told CNN that he is banned in regards of everything that's going on. I mean, I just don't get it. Like, what the hell is going on in that particular regards? So don't know. So there you go. So, I mean, how the hell do you claw into a claw machine? Maybe I have to have a better understanding of this, but I mean, that's just kind of risky stuff for some garbage to be able to get out of there. But I mean, I guess everybody has to do their own thing.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying.
He is trying to be entertaining.
Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, according to a new data from the National Park Services, more than 2,000 visitors died at the nation's park between 2014 and 2021. The leading cause of deaths, besides, the deemed undetermined, were motor vehicle crashes, 415, drownings, 402, and medical-related deaths, 385. Animals-related deaths were the rarest, with only about 5 during those 8 years. The report also highlights a park with the highest deaths. Topping the list is Lake Mead, a national recreation area with 145. Second on the list is Grand Canyon National Park with about 100 of those deaths in 8 years. Rounding up the top 5 with the highest number of fatalities was Yosemite National Park, Great Smoky Mountains National Park, and Natchez Trace Parkway. This is all coming information via The Hill. So let's make sure that we are clear as I say all of these things, because I think that that's going to be important as we are talking. In some other news, more than $20 million worth of gold and valuables were stolen from the Toronto's Pearson International Airport last week, according to the Peel Regional Police. The crime took place in the evening after the rare cargo was unloaded and transported to a holding facility. The thieves knew that they were what they were after and where to get it. It involves having some sort of insider knowledge. Phil Boyle, an associate professor of sociology and legal studies from the University of Waterloo, said no word on where the gold and valuables came from or where it was headed. So hold on. This is coming via iHeartRadio, by the way. Those people that we do stuff with. So let's talk about that. Where was this money going, and was it sitting in the airport? I mean, these valuables worth $20 million of gold and other valuables. I want to know what the other valuables were, because that's going to be important to this in regards as we are talking. I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I mean, does it to you? Maybe, do you know something? Do you have the inside Iggy? Maybe you do. I don't know. Anyways, a Colorado substitute bus driver is facing 30 counts of misdemeanor child abuse after allegedly slamming on the brakes in an attempt to teach the kids about sitting properly in their seats. In the video of the incident, 61-year-old Brian Fitzgerald warned the kids to sit down before he brake checked them, resulting in many of the elementary age kids slamming into the seats in front of them and onto the floor. Fitzgerald apologized to supervisors for his actions. No word or whether or not he has apologized to his passengers. This is according to Daily News. I mean, what the hell? These are kids. I mean, I understand that you want to have a conversation in regards to what is going on, but I'm just going to go ahead and brake check a whole bunch of kids in regards to what's going on. I mean, that doesn't make a lot of sense. I understand, doing the world of the strange, but that just gets a little bit stranger as we are going into that whole thing. There is no doubt about that. So anyways, after weeks of clawing to alternative solutions, home good retailer Bed Bath & Beyond has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. The company will wind down its operation instead of pursuing debt relief and reorganizing. While the remaining brick-and-mortar locations are closed, the company retail's websites will remain active to sell through the remaining inventory. This is all according to CNBC. Well, that sucks that they didn't make it. I mean, I'm not going to lie here because it seems to be one of those things that they were trying. I mean, they were really trying to do everything, it seemed like, in regards of being able to move forward, but apparently it just didn't work out. Sad to hear in regards of what was going on there, but there you go. Anyways, let's get a little bit into the swamp. President Joe Biden is expected to announce his re-election campaign as early as tomorrow. The Washington Post reports that Biden filmed the launch video in Delaware after returning from Ireland on April the 15th. Worth noting, the Post reporting also suggests that the hard announcement date hasn't just been kept a secret. There has been a sense that among the Democratic Party that plenty of people were wondering if they knew when it would happen. Per the Post, the top fundraising officials for the Democratic National Committee scrambled to make dozens of phone calls, frequently ending up in voicemails, inviting top donors to arrange a summit with the president for the planned event. So there you go. I don't know. Something to think about as we are talking. So, I don't know. I mean, if you think about it, the prospect of Trump versus Biden matchup has already Americans feeling exhaustion, because didn't we go through this once before? I mean, I just look at it in that way. Also, Yahoo News and YouGov poll says 38% of responses picked exhaustion from the list of the 8 feelings that come from the mind when they presented with the rematch. The others were 29% was fear, 23% was sadness, 23% was hope, anger was 23%, excitement was 16%, pride was 8%, and gratitude was 7%. This was all via Yahoo, as we are talking. I mean, I don't know. So the last time that an incumbent president ran against the man that he defeated was in the election back in 1892. Grover Cleveland won his first term in 1884, lost in 1888 to Benjamin Harrison, then beat Harrison in 1892. He's the only president to have served non-consecutive terms. So I don't know. Is that what we're looking at for potential future run? I don't know. Because if I was a fortune teller, I would tell you that I would not probably be sitting here, because I'd be out there making a fortune. You get it? Okay, you get it. Okay, with that being said, it is time to bring some John Smalls into our life and let him do the thing that he does, because he's going to tell you about fortune. Take a listen.
Here's your Market Beat Minute for Monday, April 24th, brought to you by GenesisGoldIRA.com. Equity markets ended the week on a down note after a host of earnings reports came in better than expected, but left the outlook for the second half in peril. Consensus estimates for the second half earnings growth continue to decline and have Q3 on the brink of turning negative. This on top of a growing certainty that a recession is coming. The only question is when. The takeaway from last week's economic calendar is that the index of leading indicators fell to minus 1.2, nearly double the expectation and an acceleration of recessionary factors. This, by the way, is the 15th month of negative leading indicators, and the trend is strengthening. This week will bring another read of the PCE price index, and it may not be enough to get the market back into rally mode. You can get the inside track from Wall Street's brightest minds delivered directly to your inbox every day at marketbeatminute.com.
Okay, thank you, John Smalls, for the information on what is going on. Here's what I was able to find. The Dow added about 22 points to close at 33,808 on Friday. The S&P was barely up just 3 points to close at 4,133. And the NASDAQ added about 12 points to close at 12,072. West Texas Intermediate closed at $77 on Friday, and Brent crude was just at roughly about $81 a barrel. The national average price of a gallon of gas was $3.67 on Sunday. Bitcoin was down 1%, trading around 27,500. There was about 3,620 flights delayed within, into, and out of the United States on Sunday, with more than 190 cancellation. Tuesday night's Mega Million drawing will be for $26 million jackpot or a $13.7 million cash payout. Tonight's Powerball drawing will be for $28 million jackpot or a $14.9 million cash payout. So there you go. Anyways, we're in hour number 1 of 3, just in case if you're wondering, here on the Jay Allen in the Morning Show. This first hour is known as the Rated R Safety Show because of all the stuff that we do around here. I don't know if you heard about this, but there is some news coming out this morning. We're probably about 22 minutes behind about this, but authorities are investigating what caused flames that erupted in Disneyland's Fantasmic Fireworks and Light Show on Saturday. Take a listen to this from Trey Thomas.
Stunned viewers could not believe what they were seeing as the fire took off, making its way to the top of the prop dragon.
Oh my gosh!
Your attention, please. Due to unforeseen circumstances.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Disney officials evacuated the area. Performers on the float were able to get off safely, and no one was hurt. I'm Trey Thomas.
I mean, think about that. You're on the one of the most magical places on Earth, and this is going down. I mean, I'm sure it's going to throw you for a little loopy-oopy there as we are talking. Anyways, take a listen to this. This is coming out of Denver, Colorado. Denver mayoral candidate Mike Johnson and Kelly Bra are sharing plans to tackle issues facing the city's Black community. Former Denver Metro Chamber of Commerce president says the public safety is their top priority.
I look today at the families who are victims of crime and struggling, trying to put the pieces of their life back together, and I understand it. I'm committed in my administration to preventing crime.
And former Colorado Senator Johnson answers questions about the panel Black community members and advocates for the New Hope Baptist Church on Saturday. Housing and education were also among the issues discussed. Both candidates also pledged to provide more resources to reduce violence plaguing communities across the city. They say that much of the crime can be prevented by investing in education. Both candidates pledged to work with Denver public schools to ensure that the students have plenty of opportunity outside of school. Denver mayoral candidate also, and the Colorado Senator Mike Johnson, says that he wants to build a micro-community for vulnerable citizens.
You take half-acre lots around the city that the city owns, and you put 40 or 50 tiny homes on that site. These tiny homes have heating, they have air conditioning, and all the things you need to get people back up on their feet.
Denver resident Jocelyn Owen says that she appreciates the candidates for taking the time to address their concern.
We need people that are real, genuine, and want to really make a difference in Denver.
Yes, we do need people that are real and genuine, or something along those lines of a combination of words as we are talking. Anyways, faith and community leaders are calling for peace in Chicago after teen takeovers left city in shambles more than a week ago. Perry Williams reports.
Organizers staged a march on Saturday along Michigan Avenue.
Instead of us trying to condemn them, we need to model behavior.
The group was promoting opportunities for young people, including mentoring programs, summer jobs, and more. I'm Perry Williams.
Okay, thank you, Perry, for the information right there. Club Q leaders are working to rebuild after the shooting that killed 5 people and wounded 17 last year in Colorado Springs. Founding owner Matthew Haynes says that he plans to for a permanent memorial are underway.
This is not about forgetting what happened and just let's get the business open. This is about always remembering what happened and always being able to tell that story.
5 pillars representative of those lost will stand 12 feet tall, filled with a mosaic grout, and represents the thousands impacted. The tribute will also feature 17 boulders that represent those injured, with 40 feet flagpoles in the center. Haynes said that they're hoping to break ground on the memorial in about 6 to 8 weeks. Club Q Vice President of Operation Michael Anderson says that the new memorial will be a symbol for those affected by hate and gun violence across the country.
We'll be a beacon of strength in this country. You know, we want to be an example of strength, love, resilience, and persistence. And that's what Club Q is.
Okay, so there you go. Some stuff going on right there. Take a listen to this real quick. Let's see. It's going to cost more to go to Virginia Tech. Sarah Bartlett has the details.
The Virginia Tech Board of Visitors has approved a 4.9% tuition increase. It impacts both in-state and out-of-state students, both undergraduate and graduate. In-state undergrads will now pay just over $12,600 annually. Out-of-state undergrads will pay more than $33,300 annually. There are also increases in a mandatory comprehensive fee as well as for room and board charges. I'm Sarah Bartlett.
Okay, thank you, Sarah, for the information right there. Take a listen to this. A once popular household appliance is now not in every home. Bree Tennis reports.
A study done by Clear It Waste says millennials have killed the iron. They don't mind wrinkles. There's even an Italian designer selling pre-wrinkled tops, so it's officially a fashion trend. The study says 2/3 of millennials don't even know how to turn an iron on, let alone use it. They say ditching the iron is partly due to being busy, but also because of wrinkle-resistant clothing. Etiquette experts say ironing improves your appearance 100%, and it's time to get back to it. I'm Bree Tennis, NBC News Radio.
I always feel like millennials get picked on for no reason whatsoever. So they don't know how to turn on an iron, according to that report. How is that even possible? Because there is a button that normally says on, so it's not that difficult. So I don't know if I buy it. But then again, that's what happens when you start talking about percentages and all that other kind of fun stuff, where it doesn't make a lot of sense on how it's broken down. It's all about how it's being reported, not exactly how it's being said. Anyways, it is currently 32 minutes past the top of the hour, so let's go ahead and do that thing that we do right around this time that we call our main story.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
So I have to tell you, I look and I scour the internet. I look around, I go around, and I go, wow, what a wonderful world we live in as we take a look at the things that are going on. And I see again other companies doing that marvelous thing of the drive to zero. And listen, I don't know how many more times I can talk about this because I feel like sometimes I'm beating a dead horse. But geez, drive to zero. Drive to zero. I just don't understand on how it is going to make your organization better. I mean, I understand that saying, hey, we're hoping that we only injure one person this year, or we're hoping that, at tops that we only kill one person this year, does not make a good thing for a banner slogan. And it should never be anyone's slogan because nobody wants someone to get hurt. But listen, it is easier to say we will take a ankle sprain over someone dying because that is the stuff that we're looking for, opposed to it being, hey, somebody else died today. The drive to zero to me is really just the inability of really doing forward progress. It is the inability of saying, hey, we do have cluster Fs inside of our system. But let's talk a little bit more. If we realistically want to drive to zero, does this mean that everything goes fully automated? Does this mean that we get the humans out of the workplace? Because that's the only way I see it working. I mean, unless you're going to be able to tell me otherwise, I just don't see how that would happen. The other portion that we have to always look at as we are talking about this is we sometimes tend to go in and have conversations with people when an injury, a fatality, something occurs inside of the workplace, and we don't ask about what failed, we ask who failed. That seems to be the popular analogy of the questions that we ask. It is who failed, what caused it. But here's the question that I always have, and it's the question that I always look at and go, did the organization set the people up with the right tools to do the job? Think about that. Did the organization set up the person with the right tools to do the job? Because here's the thing. Sometimes the choices of the personnel, sometimes the choices of the team member, even though from an outsider point of view, might be a terrible choice on what they decided to do. It could have been the best choice that was presented to the team member. Think about that for a moment. if it is the best choice that they have available based on the tools that was provided to them, and take that interpretation of the word tools however you want, because that could mean a lot of things. Some people will think automatically like, hey, a hammer. Yeah. The tools of what was presented, did they make the right choice on what was presented to them? Because that's where we sometimes don't look at things. We don't look at it from the standpoint of the correct choice was made, even though there was a failure that was still there. So, does the drive to zero get you to where you want to go? I don't know. I don't know what your organization's trying to accomplish. I don't know what you are trying to accomplish. But I will tell you what happens the moment that you have a failure within the organization and you have a drive to zero. Now, listen, if you are a learning and improving organization, you should have failures daily. Seriously, failures daily. This should not be such a one-off that, oh yeah, we only had one failure this whole year. Think about it. If you've been in this industry for some time, think about this for a moment, where you would sit down and have a conversation about an ankle sprain, and that is what you're worried about with a serious injury. Life has changed over the last 20 years or so, and I'm sure it will continue to evolve as we continue to go forward. But what does the drive to zero do? Think about it. Think about that, because I think it's going to be one of those difficult things for us to assess later down the road.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with the viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You are listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
Do you have a claim and not sure where to turn? Coastal Claim Consultants are professionally licensed and bonded public insurance adjusters employed exclusively by you, the policyholder, to represent you after sustaining an insured loss. They assist policyholders in all aspects of processing the claim, working closely with the insured to provide the most equitable and timely settlement possible. They will provide you with comprehensive service, anything from inspecting the loss site, analyzing damages, compiling claim support data, reviewing applicable coverages, assessing replacement costs of damages, and negotiating your settlement. The adjusters at Coastal Claim Consultants will evaluate your claim for no upfront cost whatsoever. Coastal Claim Consultants fee is based on contingency contracts and are paid when the insurance company sends you a check and it's in your possession. Coastal Claim Consultants are licensed to assist you in the following states: Florida, Texas, Oklahoma, Georgia, and South Carolina. For more information, go to coastal-cc.com. That's coastal-cc.com. For more information, lighting the way to recovery. Coastal Claim Consultants.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad, your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey, why don't you take a minute?
When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can, making sure they're safe and comfortable. But it's just as important that you take some time for yourself. At AARP, we can help with information and useful tips on how you can maintain a healthy life balance, care for your own physical and mental well-being, and manage the challenges of caring for a loved one. Because the better care you take of yourself, the better care you can provide for your loved one.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you.
You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
All right, class. Let's hear what everyone did this weekend. Jill?
Well, I raised my older sister to a big oak tree. It was at least 100 years old. My mom said I must have set a record or something. And then we went down by a stream and perched up on this huge rock and saw all these little minnows swimming around way below us. And then I rescued my little brother from an evil slug king who was guarding him at the bush fortress. And my sister and I brought him back to our super twig fort for safety. And then we all laid out and told stories until it got dark. And the Big Dipper led us all the way home.
Wow. Awesome. Where were you, Jill?
Yeah. We went to the forest. It's not that far away. Anyone want to come this weekend?
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week and find the fun, adventurous you. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Hey, are you tired of hanging around and talking about safety in a boring kind of format? Well, I got something for you. If you haven't hung out with us yet at safetyfm.com, I'm going to encourage you to do so. Yeah, if you come out to Safety FM, you can come hang out with all kinds of safety professionals. Some are safety professionals, some are just people that are talking about safety. But we want to do it in a format that makes it fun and entertaining. If you're kind of trying to figure out what the FM portion is, well, we're a radio station and also a podcast network. You can come out, hang out, listen to my show, The Jay Allen Show. You can listen to Todd Conklin with the pre-accident investigation, Blaine J. Hoffman with the Safety Pro, the Hop Nerd, Sam Goodman, just to name a few on what can be found on the station. Different things for different people, trying to bring safety in an entertaining form. SafetyFM.com. Go to the website, download the app, and carry it with you all day long. SafetyFM.com. We'll be waiting for you.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hackneyed? Safety trainers still preaching and warped version. How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Polzel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
Okay, there you go. 43 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out, doing our thing. This right here, this is Control by The Wanderer. You can give it a little stream action if you'd like. YouTube Music, Spotify, Apple Music. Yeah, we like Casey around here from The Wanderers. They're based between Los Angeles and Toronto. The Wanderers filled with heavy 90s fused guitar and soaring melodies, influenced heavily by the guitar sound of the tones of the 90s. Yeah, we like it. Thanks for letting us play this here on hour number 1 of the Jay Allen in the Morning Show. What we call the Rated R Safety Show. So let's get into it. Let's get back into some musica. No, not really. We're not getting into music. That's hour number 2 and now hour number 3 that we'll be talking about. So let's get into this real quick. Let's talk about some things that are going on inside of the multiverse. Not the multiplex, but the multiverse. So there you go. So let's talk real quick about the most important thing that I will tell you in my lifetime. And that's about my friends at Write Love on Her Arms. That's at TWLOHA.com. Listen, they have a whole section on their website about self-care. And I think that it is so important for us to talk about this because it is a subject matter that we need to talk about. And I was watching over the weekend someone having a discussion on how important this subject is. And for some reason, they referenced that they were trying to drown out that they needed help. So they turned to the bottle. And listen, I know people apply their own version of a technique that they think that will work for them, but I will tell you, if you are looking for help, if you are looking for assistance and you don't know where to go and you don't feel comfortable just talking to anyone, go to twloha.com. Click on the section that says self-care, all kinds of information there. Can give you some techniques, even can tell you about some resources that are available in your general area. twloha.com. Seriously, I will tell you, you will not regret going to their website to have some of the discussion of the things that are going on. Also, it gives you information if you want to get involved, what you can do, and even talks about events that are going on throughout the world because they do things even in other countries as well. And if you are in good old Florida and you are going to be in the Orlando area, particularly the Melbourne area, on the 29th, yes, on the 29th, if you go to their website, they're going to be having an event called Show Up Fest. So I will tell you, it is National Mental Health Month. This event is free to attend and will include food trucks, local vendors, and kids' activities, interactive art pieces, and free mini classes focusing on mental health and mini rock fitness class, 20 minutes, mini yoga classes, and all that kind of fun stuff. You can go to be there if you'd love to do so. There you go. There you go. There you go. They'll have all kinds of fun stuff going on for you inside of there. To write love on our arms / self-care, twloha.com. Let's get into some more news about some things that are going on inside of the world, and let's talk real quick about some things that are happening. Are you having a hard time making big decisions? I have friends that have that problem. Maybe you're trying to negotiate your way through a sticky business problem, or maybe you can't even make up your mind about what you should do about a situation at home, or cut up between two choices in a personal or relationship matters. Well, don't worry, I got you. There's a simple 7-word question that you can ask yourself, which is grounded in neuroscience that can guide you through the indecision and help overcome analysis paralysis and lead you to make better, bolder choices. Simply ask yourself, what is the worst that could happen? It's a long explanation on why this works, but in short, when you're faced with an indecision after you ask yourself that question, then look at the indications that that it's not your fear of the outcome that stops you from acting, but instead your fear of how you might feel. It's the worst case scenario that comes to fruition if you are if you're not sure of yourself, make it about how your emotions will be anticipated. You might be able to make the decision. My problem is whenever I ask what is the worst outcome, the gods of just try me always manage to come up with something far worse than I could ever imagine. Judging by what Sheldon Primus wore to work a few days ago, he definitely hasn't been asking the right question. I mean, I'm just saying, just throwing that out there as we are talking. So there you go. That's some information to think about as we are taking a look at the move and the groove of stuff that is happening inside of this. Anyways, take a listen to this. USS Arizona, the only two remaining survivors of the sinking USS Arizona of December the 7th, 1941, is gone. Trey Thomas has more.
The National Park Service says Howard Ken Potts died Friday in Provo, Utah at the age of 102. According to Stars and Stripes, his death leaves 101-year-old Luke Hunter as the last remaining survivor of the battleship that sank to the bottom of Pearl Harbor after the surprise attack. I'm Trey Thomas.
Okay, thank you, Trey Thomas, for the information right there of what is going on. Take a listen to this. This is the world of the weird. The Twitter accounts of dead celebrities are getting verified blue checks mark. Trey Thomas has more. Matter of fact, Trey Thomas doesn't have more because the file has now been removed. So there you go. No more on that. That's a weird one. That is a weird one for sure as we are talking. I mean, what would you think there? What would you think about that? Why would you have verified accounts for people that are no longer alive? That kind of makes it a weirdy one. I never know about those things. I always want to have a deeper conversation when it comes to what do you do with stuff like that, but I never know what is the correct answer of those funny things as they are happening. That is for sure as we are talking. I don't know. What do you think about it? Do you give any recommendations or any thoughts? Let me ask this question, because I've had this question for a long period of time. What do you do with somebody who you know that passes away on your social media? Do you keep them on your social media? Or do you look at it and go, time to remove them? I never know what the right answer is, because here's the weird thing that happens. I have dead relatives and dead friends. And, you know, the social media platforms normally tells you when their birthday is coming about. What do you do there? Because it's a weird thing, because I don't know. It's not like it's an expected outcome. And then something comes up with that. And then you just go, well, here's this information that wasn't there before. Anyways, thanks, Trey, for putting the file back up there. So take a listen to this.
A report from Insider says Kobe Bryant, Chadwick Boseman, and Anthony Bourdain and other deceased celebrities had blue check marks added to their accounts since the social media platform began its purge on Thursday. The check marks are now only available to those who pay an $8 monthly subscription fee. I'm Trey Thomas.
So there you go. I don't know. Some interesting stuff going on right there for sure. Anyways, take a listen to this. The NAACP is suing Mississippi governor and the state officials over separate but unequal policing. The NAACP Environmental, Mental, and Climate Justice Director Aubrey Connor explains the suit.
It represents that there are going to be repercussions. This really is more of the same. And so it just is one more example of how the governor has demonstrated that he does not care about the needs of the residents in Jackson.
The Republican Governor Tate Reeves announced violent crimes in Jackson has made it necessary to expand Capitol Police patrols in the city to authorize some appointed rather than elected judges. The new laws would create temporary court systems in Jackson that state-appointed judges who would handle cases in the capital area. So there you go. Take a listen to that. That's definitely an interesting one. Take a listen to this real quick. 2 survivors of a sexual assault for former Clarenceville High School choir teacher Jason DeBant are speaking out after the convicted of 5 charges on Friday. The 27-year-old Kate Estep and 25-year-old Victoria Longus were both assaulted by DeBant when they were students at the high school, and recalled messages from him that the play practice at one night. This is actually coming out of Michigan.
I was in my room in bed, getting ready to go to bed, and he texted me, "I love you." I remember being so taken aback and pushing back and being like, "No, you don't." And he reconfirmed it. He's like, "Yes, I do."
Langus said that it started off with something safe and then started with sending sexually explicit photos as text messages. Esteva says that she engaged in oral sex with him, and at his home in Berkeley, and several other students accused him of the same behavior in 2020. Victoria Langers says that they thought that it was the only student with a relationship with former teacher Jason DeBant.
And then all of a sudden, bam, there's 8 of us that have had this relationship with Jason in some form of another.
So terrible news coming out of there as you hear that. So never know what to say. Anyways, with that being said, let's see if we can get some kind of weird thing and some motivation going on right now. Here's some John Small.
The Motivation Minute is courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. Today's quote was submitted by Larry. Walt Disney said, "The difference between winning and losing is, most often, not quitting." I love that. Think about the times in your past when you won something, anything, I don't care what it is. Now think about how hard it was and how easy it would have been to give up along the way. But you didn't give up. You pushed through the struggle to win. That's why you won, because you didn't give up. Like Walt Disney said, the difference between winning and losing is most often not quitting. Don't quit. Don't give up before you win. Hang in there and push through the struggles to be the winner. You can do this. This has been today's Motivation Minute, courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. They're known for insurance quotes. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Your Wellness Minute is brought to you by AlysaMorgan.com. One's diet affects testosterone levels. Nearly 20 to 50% of U.S. men have testosterone deficiency. Men who eat a pro-inflammatory diet, which is rich in refined sugar and refined carbohydrates and fats all combined, are 30% more likely to have testosterone deficiency, which in turn leads to low libido, decreased energy, poor concentration, and is also associated with cardiovascular disease and obesity. A diet high in both refined carbohydrates and fats, essentially a standard American diet, was associated with low testosterone independent of age, race, caloric intake, smoking status, education level, and BMI. Obesity, on top of the pro-inflammatory diet, increases risk of low testosterone by 60%. For more information on wellness, check out AlysaMorgan.com.
We are now video streaming the Rated R Safety Show. I don't know why our host has a face for radio. Rated R Safety Show.
I don't know why the host has a face for radio either. I mean, it's kind of the face that I was given. What am I supposed to do around here? Anyways, currently 56 minutes past the top of the hour, so that means we are on the verge of getting you out of here. If you want to come and hang out with me, I will be going over exclusively to Radio Big for the next couple hours or so if you want to come and hang out and do the things that we do over there on that side of the equation. So don't worry about that. We'll take care of you. If not, you can hang out here on Safety FM and take a listen to what Sheldon Primus has to say as he tells you about the world of safety consulting. So there you go, some stuff and some options for you. Anyways, let's talk about some things that happened back on this date. As I take a look around, if I am looking, back in 2018, the Golden State serial killers identified after 40 years. James D'Angelo, 72, a former police officer, is arrested for 12 killings and 50 rapes in California during the 1970s and the 80s. The break in the case came after the authorities were able to get a sample of DNA of an item discarded by D'Angelo, which matched several samples that they had taken from his victims. The following year, he pleaded guilty to 13 counts of the first-degree murder, as well as 13 counts of kidnapping, and to be sentenced to multiple consecutive life sentences. That happened back in 2018. If you're looking at some birthdays for today, Jordan Fisher turns 29, Leah Meeser turns 31, Jake Quad 31, Joey Keane 31, Carly Pierce turns 33 today. Chris Kalang turns 36. Morgan Evans, 38. Travis Clark, 38. Kelly Clarkson turns 41 today. Melinda Clark, 54. Jack Martin Blades turns 69. Phil Robertson, 77. Barbara Streisand, 81. And Shirley MacLaine turns 89 today. So there you go. That's some birthdays for you. If you're looking at some reasons to celebrate, well, I have some of those. It's Scream Day and National Pig in a Blanket Day. So there you go. Some stuff for you for sure. If you do need a random joke for today, I have one of those for you as well. Some people are like, people who wear glasses are so smart, but I literally had to fill a test to get mine. Let's see, phone starter for today. The best way for someone who has gotten out of a ticket or trouble with the law. Oh, that sounds a little bit too graphic. Also, if you need a question for the water cooler, the average person throws away 70% of these edible items every year. What are they? Loaf of bread, the ends. So there you go. And then last but not least, here's a deep thought for today. Hard work spotlights the character of people. Some turn it up with their sleeve, some turn it up with their nose, and the others turn it up all as well. Anyways, I know who you are.
Duh.
You know who I am. Love you. Mean it and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.